What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Kill Shot MMA Breakdown Podcast. We're taking a look at UFC Fight Night, Pavlovich, Blaydes. We're going to break down the entire card from a DraftKings fantasy perspective. Little bets, some bets given out, little fantasy. Now, Big Marley, you were not on board with my Max Holloway plays last week, but you were crushing some bets of your own I saw out there on the Twitter machine.
Yeah, it was an underdog week, and the judges didn't screw me over, which was nice. My kill shot, Gomez, she was one of my bets, and she got the TKO. I said second round TKO in my breakdown. She got a second round TKO, so I was a little lucky on that one. But then I had Pedro Munoz. We both said that we thought that line looked crazy on the podcast, and it was. So yeah,
Man, I was not
2-0 on underdogs.
I wasn't expecting that insane domination from Munoz, but good for him, man. I'm not a Gutierrez guy.
Same. He's got good leg kicks, but that only gets you so far.
Did you see my video of the kid and play dance? It came true. It was so funny.
Jordan in the chat is right, though, man. He got screwed over on Pudilova, first freaking fight of the night. Judges are still every week, man. They're screwing it up. Every single person on MMAdecisions.com scored that for Pudilova. Every single person. I wasn't even watching it. I looked on Twitter, and my whole timeline was like easy win for Pudilova. And I was like, all right, cool. She was in my single entry. That's good for me. And then it's just like, wait, what? She lost? And I was like, whoa, I thought this was over. You guys made it seem like it had already been over. And then it was kind of ruined my night from there, knowing that my single entry was down one fight.
Yeah, I had her in one of my in one of my better lineups as well. My biggest regret from last week's card, because listen, we crushed Holloway by decision plus 175. It was glorious. We hit him to win the fight as well on a big bet to win 2 units. Got another 2 units off the by decision, which was glorious. My biggest regret going back was just not having confidence in Jan Cutelaba. And I know you're going to be like, dude, you should never have confidence in Jan Cutelaba, right? I have a new theory, though, Big Marley, and it's a betting theory. And you ready for this? My theory is this. Heavyweight coming down is a lot in weight class is probably the worst weight class drop that you can get. I'm going to tell you why. And this is my theory. The reason being, you don't need to have that much skills to be a UFC heavyweight. Like, they just find people at UFC gyms across the country who look kind of tough. And like, you could be in the new, and next thing you know, like who is that? Rashad Coulter is in the UFC fighting. Like, wait, this is just some dude from like the Texas UFC gym that some other guy goes to. Like, you don't need to be that good to be a UFC heavyweight. But when you go down to light heavyweight, now you've got like skilled fighters that you're going up that know how to do takedown. And that's what Jan Cutelaba is like. Listen, this guy knows how to get a takedown. He has some wrestling. And, my boy Tanner Boser, the best thing he had going for him is he's tough and he's fighting heavyweights that kind of gas out and not that good. And if you just survive for a minute or two, and they're not that good, you can just win your fight. And I don't know. That's my theory. What do you say, Big Marley? It's a crazy theory, or maybe it's crazy brilliant.
No, I think it makes sense. Heavyweight's the worst division in the UFC. Basically always has been. So, yeah, I think it makes sense.
Remember when...
but still, I mean, I don't think we can just go out there and trust Cutelaba.
No. This was more of a... I think Boser is actually not good at all. Like, he just won a couple fights because at heavyweight, you could win a couple fights just by kind of like being tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think Boser was any good coming into the UFC. And then, I don't know when I switched over, I probably lost like... I don't know if I bet on the guy, but I know I picked him. Man, I can't even think back, but he screwed me over believing in him when I knew I shouldn't have. But yeah, I was heavy on Cutelaba, so I was happy about that one. It just sucks when you have the Pudilova screw you over in the first fight, and then it starts out with Pudilova. I have Gomez in my single entry, Cutelaba, so it was going great, but they took 30 points away from me in that Pudilova. So I stopped caring after the first fight, which I always hate.
I'm gonna throw, you just mentioned the name, and I'm gonna throw, and we're gonna get into the breakdown, so I don't want to waste too much time talking about last week. But Gomes, we had a plus 135, effectively close fighter at like 6,700. I had her 90% of my lineups. Yeah, you're on mute, but I had her 90% of my lineups for that reason. But what was shocking to me wasn't that I had her at 90%. It was that her ownership was just 17%, which is bananas.
Yeah, she was like 11% in one of the single entries I checked. Yeah, I was loving it.
A plus 135 for 6,700. You guys, no one cares. That was a bit of the effect of having the whole 9K range looking kind of gross. So you didn't feel like you needed to do it, but still really fascinating. So anyway, let's move on. I don't think we're going to find as many sexy underdogs this week, but I hope I'm wrong, Big Marley. I really, really do, because maybe we'll identify something. But my first run through was not that promising. So hopefully you're going to help us out here, and let's get some underdogs that look good.
I got a couple.
First fight of the night. This one will make or break your whole card if you don't have it, probably. That's usually how it goes. Dana Bagertel, a.k.a. Danny Bagels, taking on Brady Highstrand. Bagertel, minus 145. Come back on Highstrand, plus 125. Fight ends inside the distance, a solid minus 195. So, Big Marley, stylistically, tell me about these two fighters.
Yeah, I would say this is a striker versus grappler matchup. I've never been sold on Dana Bagertel. I think he's got decent striking, but it's really just his early power that's most impressive, especially when it comes to DraftKings. When you got a guy that really isn't looking to wrestle too much, he doesn't throw crazy volume. He's only going to score 100 plus points if he gets a first round knockout. He's not the type of guy that I like to target typically. But in this fight, I do think he makes a lot of sense because Highstrand is going to be at a skill disadvantage on the feet, and he has a suspect chin. I could definitely see Bagertel just going out there and getting a first round knockout, possibly even in the slate breaking 60 seconds or less. But if he doesn't get that first round knockout, I just feel like he's going to be trying to stuff takedowns or being against the cage or on his back a lot of the time here. And that's what's going to put Highstrand in play as well. I think Highstrand has to go for takedowns early and often in this one because that's where his only edge is going to be. And I don't know how bad Bagertel's takedown defense is. He hasn't really been tested too much with wrestling, especially lately. But, I mean, you got to think that Highstrand's going to be going for him over and over, probably 10-plus takedown attempts in this one. And if he's going to win, it's going to come through the ground. So Highstrand is an underdog I like. I thought the line should be, basically pick him. It's going to go knock out Dana Bagertel, or I just think Highstrand's going to get the fight to the ground and win. So I just rather go with the underdog. But at the same time, on most cards, I would just fully fade Bagertel. But I think this one is one that makes sense because he's priced up at 8,700, which will take people off of him. But we also have that 100-plus potential that is like pretty likely if he does get the win. So I'm going to be heavy on this one. Like you mentioned, you probably need this one in a lot of your lineups. I won't be all in, but it's one that I like both sides of. But give me the underdog to pull off either a submission or a decision win.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats here for this fight, Big Mar. I like that this is one of those underdogs. I mean, not that we have a lot of sample size, but Highstrand averaging 4.5 takedowns per 15 minutes. That's pretty good. And we look at his opponent, Danny Bagels, 66% takedown defense. Not that great. Not that great. And has not faced any wrestlers. So, at least this group here, who's the wrestler that was taking him down?
He was taken down like 3 times in his UFC debut. So I think a lot of it's coming from that. But that was a long time ago, like 2016, 2019. So it's just hard to know. Like, is Brady Highstrand good enough to get him down? I don't know that, but I know that he's going to have to attempt it a lot. And, eventually you would think it's going to end up working. If you're not going to accept a striking match, just close the distance, grab a hold of this guy and try and trip him to the ground, whatever you got to do. I just think eventually it'll work. And then once he gets it to the ground, I like Highstrand.
One other thing going for Highstrand or Highstrand here is just that he's young. Probably gets a little better every time you see him. It's hard when a guy is 23. Let's see when we last saw Highstrand. but he's young and like, all right, yeah, 11-19. So it's been, another 4 or 5 months, and these guys do level up a little bit every time you see them.
True.
Because they're young. So, yeah, I mean, I like your point here. I kind of think that you need exposure to this fight, -190 to end inside a distance. And one thing about Danny Bagels is this guy's got knockout power for a little dude, for a 135er. He does have some power in his hands. So what you said does make sense. Highstrand has been knocked down in fights before, and he doesn't have like a lot of fights against big, tough dudes, but he's been knocked down. So I don't know. This one will be interesting. I like both sides of it, but I am picking Bagertel to win it. But I like Highstrand as a potential underdog play, and if he could execute takedowns, especially. We don't know if Dana Bagertel's takedown defense is good. None of these other guys really try to take him down. All right.
Yeah, this will be his first real test.
Yeah, his other opponents haven't tried to go for takedowns, so who knows? All right, this one's a fun one.
He could also just get a knockout before. As I was saying, he could just get a knockout before homie can even try and take him down. So I don't know. Just target that fight. Whoever you like, go heavy on them. Get a little bit of hedge exposure to the other side, but just target heavily.
I hate counting on the knockout. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, me too, man. More than anything.
Yeah, I don't like counting on it because it's like, wow, if this guy doesn't get a knockout. So that part is a little tricky for DFS purposes. But if Highstrand is executing his heavy takedowns approach, he's going to be in the nuts. Like if he gets the 4.5 takedowns in this fight, I don't care what else is going on. He's probably going to get there somehow. All right. I like this next fight, man. Priscilla Cachuera taking on Karine Silva. Karine is a -185 favorite. Comeback on Cachuera +160. Fight ends inside the distance is a really solid -205. Again, you know what, Big Marley? Every time, people assume that the ladies, they don't get the takedowns or they don't get the big fantasy scores, right? But they actually do, according to our boy Monk Maddox, who couldn't be here today, doing some personal stuff. So my question for you here, how do you see this one going down? Because Cachuera, Zombie Girl, going up against Silva. Silva sort of newer, haven't seen as much of her.
Yeah, another one where it's, I don't know, probably a good fight to target mostly because of that line. I don't know how much I agree with that -200 fight doesn't go to decision line, but they definitely both have finishing potential. Cachuera is a striker. She's an aggressive striker. She's got power for a woman. She could go out there and get a TKO. But she's going to need to keep the fight standing because Silva should have a big edge on the mat here. I think Silva's decent on the feet as well. Offensively, neither one of them are very good defensively striking, but they're both okay on the feet offensively. But I think the biggest edge is going to be Silva on the ground. If she can go out there and get a takedown, she should be able to control the fight or lock up a submission. And maybe the fight doesn't even make it out of the first round if she's going for it early. So I'm okay with either side of this fight. But if it does get extended, if they're on the feet for, 2 rounds, then I don't think that we're going to get a high score from either one of them in a decision. So we really need this one to go to the ground if it's Silva, or we need the knockout if it's Cachuera. And I'm not positive we're going to get either one of those. So I'll just, kind of toss this fight into lineups where it fits. I've only made one lineup so far, a single entry that I've been hand building, and it's not in that single entry, but who knows how much I'll end up with if I make 20 lineups. I would guess, 15, 20% Silva, 10 to 15% Cachuera, but give me Silva to get the fight to the ground and find a finish. All of her wins are inside the distance, and I think that she should know that she's going to have a big edge on the mat in this one. Why face danger on the feet when you can just take it to the ground and have it your way?
Silva inside the distance, +130. Silva by submission, which I really like. A very solid +310, which I think is a very, very bettable spot right there for +300 odds. Let's take a look at Silva's.
Silva by submission, +310?
Yes. Oh, Big Marley's on that too. I don't blame you.
Did you see that? I don't know if Yeah, I like that if that's what it is, but I
Silva
didn't.
wins by submission. Did I just read that wrong? Silva wins by submission. Oh shit! No, I did read it wrong. It was decision.
Okay,
Silva
yeah.
by submission is plus 175. That's less good. Silva inside the distance plus 130.
Plus 130.
If you want the extra, I wouldn't even bother. That's not enough.
Yeah.
At that point, you just got to take Silva inside the distance at plus 130. Oh,
Yeah, and I'm not super sold that she gets it done inside the distance either. So, I mean, she's never won a decision, so it's also hard to trust that she does it for the first time here. But if you like Silva, I think that the money line would just be the way to go.
So take a look at what she's done. So here's the math that I like. Silva's wins, choke, armbar, heel hook, punches, choke, armbar, punches. So she is winning by submission or inside the distance pretty much all the time. Now, again, these are all complete turds for the most part. None of these have a name that you've ever heard of. None of them. So she's beating garbage. But you know what? Poliana Botello fought in the UFC, and she's not completely garbage. Darce choke, that's a skill. And here's the thing, the math part that I wanted to tell you about, Big Marley, is that my girl, Cachuera, is losing by submission quite a bit, or at least a few times here. Got a submission loss. Now, Shevchenko, that was more of a quit than anything else. So she has lost by submission, not as frequently as you want to see if you want to kind of target, but it's women's MMA. I mean, come on. So, yeah, Simons is long. But so anyway, she has lost by submission. The other girl has wins by submission. I think that is the thing for me. I look for that. And just like, all right, somebody who submits is likely to submit again. It's just how it goes.
That's how I see it going down, Silva by submission.
Yeah, I like that call. I'm on board with you, but I think a lot of people are going to like Cachuera. And one thing I do like about Cachuera is the volume is generally there in fights that she's in. Like her opponents score really well, and she scored well in her few wins.
True.
It's because she's just walking towards you. You almost have to be punching her or doing something, or, you know, you got to slow her down because she doesn't stop. So I kind of like Cachuera fights to score well in general. All right. Next up, we've got Francis Marshall taking on William Gomez. Francis minus 210, Gomez plus 175. Fight ends inside the distance, plus 100. Not that good. Not that good. Big Marley, Marshall, Gomez. How does this go down?
See, I think that Gomez needs to keep this fight at range and use his kicks on the feet. He showed some decent wrestling in his last fight, but I think that was more so, his opponent wasn't as good. I don't think he's going to have a wrestling edge in this one. So I think Gomez is going to need to keep this fight at range. And if he can get a knockout, then he has 100-point potential. If he doesn't get a knockout, I just don't see this guy having any sort of high ceiling here. And I think Marshall, if he can just close the range, he's going to have the better boxing. I think he's more aggressive. He probably hits harder. And I think he's the one more likely to mix levels, spend time in top control. So I like Marshall in this one. I just think he has the style to go out there and win every round and possibly score well in a decision, which is something I always like. But he could also finish the fight on the feet or the ground. So I like Marshall in this one. Gomez will be one that I probably avoid. I just don't see him scoring well if he does get the win. If he goes out there and gets a first round knockout, it's going to burn me, but that's just not something I like to target. And we haven't seen it yet with Marshall. I mean, this kid's young. He's never lost. I haven't really seen him wobble too much. I think this is all a setup fight for Marshall to get it done. So Marshall or pass for me.
I'm looking at the stats for these guys, and I mean, Marshall, an incredible almost 5 takedowns per 15. It looks like Gomez is also a guy who's going for takedowns. So are we judging, and you're on mute, but are we judging which one of these guys is the better grappler? Can we use some prejudice and say, hey, Paris French grappling is not the same as American grappling, wrestling, Iowa, what's up?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm down with that. I mean, Maybe that's where my head was when I was giving Marshall the wrestling advantage in this one.
Is that what it is? Just like he's from America and this guy's, from Paris. Come on.
Maybe, I don't know. Who knows what I was
Is
thinking?
that
I
what's
did, I picked it yesterday or 2 days ago, so who knows where my head was then.
Where did you pull it from? Yeah, I mean, superior volume all around. I think Marshall looks like somebody who will score really, really well if his stats continue to hold up like what he did in his first 2 fights. Again, early finish here, but 110 strikes and 6 takedowns against in his first fight here.
Yeah, I mean, you love that rate, but that's also against a guy who had never been like 2 minutes into a fight, so it's hard to, you can't really judge too much on that fight.
So are we then not to assume that Marshall is going to be a 5 takedowns per 15 kind of guy?
I think he could get 4 or 5 takedowns in this one, but I don't think he's also going to have 100 significant strikes on the feet to add along with it. I think it would probably him staying in top control for 8 minutes of the fight rather than a lot of striking time.
And I would throw out there, in case you're looking at the stats on screen and you're like, oh, this guy has 100% takedown defense, is the Gomez stat is just specifically for this one opponent. So,
and Gomez is going to he's going to want to be at range, which is going to take away from the significant strikes that Marshall will be able to land if he's not able to get on the inside.
Yeah. I like the Marshall side as well there. I like the aggression, the takedowns, the wrestling. And I do believe that America's wrestling is better than Paris's. He's in there training with Cyril Gane as grappling. And we saw how that worked out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not so good.
No, not at all. It was good for me, though.
Yeah, well, if you bet against him. It was great. All right, this next fight is bananas. I watched tape on both of these guys, and remember that you know that ESPN, that guy? I don't know.
No, I don't know what you're talking about, but I know the feeling. Yeah, on this fight, that's kind of what it is.
You don't know that one? That meme? Oh, come on! I'll show you later. All right, I'll show you on Twitter.
I'm not on ESPN too much, I guess. I don't know.
No, it's a meme. It's not even on ESPN. It's just like some ESPN guy walking through the hallways like, I don't know. And then it keeps going. I always feel like that when I see these crazy fights. Junior Tafa taking on Muhammad Usman. And that is the older brother, I assume, of Marty Kamaru. Younger brother, older brother, half brother.
I think older brother. I don't freaking know.
There's a family relation there. Anyway, 2 heavyweights. Man, these guys are new. -105, -115, effectively even odds. Fight ends inside the distance, -300. Usman inside the distance, +175. Top inside the distance, +140. Now, Big Marley, these are 2 meatheads that are going to be throwing fist. How do you break this one down for us?
I don't think that's how it should play out. I think Tafa's got a big edge on the feet. I think he's going to have a huge speed advantage. I think he's just going to be a much more well-rounded striker. Because Usman is just slow and plotty. Like, nothing about his striking game other than his power is good, to be honest with you. But he's huge. He's jacked. He's definitely got one-shot KO power. That's really all he's going to bring to the striking match in this one. I think his edge is going to come on the ground. Tafa is just a kickboxer, purely a kickboxer. Only had 4 MMA fights. A lot of that's knockouts. So I don't know what this guy's going to look like off his back. And if Usman can get 1 takedown, like, this guy's huge. I don't know how Tafa is going to be able to get back up. So I think we're going to get a knockout from Tafa early, or Usman gets the fight to the ground and finishes it there with ground and pound because Tafa doesn't know what to do. That's kind of how I see it going down. But either way, it scores well.
Let me ask you this. Did you see evidence that Usman is a good wrestler? Because I watched some tape and I didn't really see. Where is that?
I've seen him have, I mean, I wouldn't say he's like his brother or anything, but I think he has wrestling ability, but his size really is just everything. On the feet, it's all his power, but I think his size would be able to just hold guys down. I don't know what fight it was.
I'm just saying, like, if he, so let me put it like this. If he had real wrestling ability, I would favor him massively because Junior Tafa clearly does not have any of that. He's a kickboxer, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
he didn't.
I mean, I've seen him have wrestling success, and you got to think like you need to win. You go in there, get a win. This is your best chance to go out there and get a takedown and dominate the fight on the ground. You're not going to get somebody else this green, most likely. I mean, but if he doesn't do that, he's going to get knocked out. I just think I think he's bad on the feet. So
I just didn't see
don't know. I mean, he's got a brother. He's probably got a good training out, but I like Usman with the thoughts of him coming in here with a smart game plan. If he does go in there, look for takedowns early, I just think he mauls this guy on the ground and gets a finish at some point.
I'm just going to say this. I don't know that I didn't see any like in the fight against Pauga. I didn't see it. He didn't even attempt or even think about.
No, it wasn't that fight. I don't know what fight. It definitely wasn't that one. But I know I picked him against Pauga, thinking kind of the same thing. He's going to go in there against a smaller guy and he'll have wrestling success. But he has KO power. It worked out.
My question. So the thing I'm questioning is, do we think that because his last name is Usman and we just assume that his brother taught him? Because this is what I'm saying. He does not have a wrestling background that I'm familiar with. Like he's some sort of football player, or he like came from a completely different sport, only picked up MMA in the last couple of years. Like, why would we assume maybe on the Ultimate Fighter he got a couple like I don't where does this come from?
I don't know if it was Ultimate Fighter or not, but I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. And this is a guy who I've not seen Tafa though have to defend it. So like anybody with the brain, you got to think if you can wrestle, this is the time to do it. And I don't know. I've seen it. I mean, it wasn't a good. I bet it was Terrence Hodges. I want to say it was Terrence Hodges. It had to have been Terrence Hodges.
I mean, taking down a 2-6 guy, I'm pretty confident I might be able to take down Terrence Hodges with my double leg.
Yeah, I mean, how much better is 4-0 though? You know, I don't know.
You're right. I don't know that it's there. So that Usman,
I don't either. I'm not betting it.
He looked like ass to me. The striking, I don't understand how he beat Zach Pauga. It's almost like he sneezed on him and it knocked him out because he like touched him in just the right spot. He wasn't looking good on the feet at all, and Zach Pauga sucks.
No, I mean, if this is a striking match, give me Tafa all day.
Yeah, I'm just like, Tafa looked okay. He's not good either. That's the problem with this fight. He sucks too, but he's so new. But Tafa, at the very least, has at least some like. By the way, he has kickboxing. He was losing those kickboxing fights. Like it's not like he had this great kickbox. This isn't Israel Adesanya, is what I'm saying.
No, not at all. He's quick. He's got some technique. Where I just think Usman is bad. All he is muscle.
This is an ugly fight, and it comes down to. And like I said, I didn't see any of that wrestling out of Usman. I don't know if he has it or he doesn't. I'm asking because I don't know. But I was like, fuck. I watched a few of the fights because I was like, fuck.
Yeah, but like I said, I thought he was going to go in there and try and wrestle Pauga.
None of that. Didn't even try it. Not one attempt.
No.
And he's so slow and awkward in there that I don't even know that he would be able to take down a guy like I'm not sure he would be able to get a takedown. I'm not sure.
I don't know. That's how I see it. And was it Tafa was like a 2-1 -250 favorite within the last week or so. So if salaries came out a little bit earlier, he would have been, $9K or something like that. So if you want to go off of what salaries would have been a week ago, you got some value on the Tafa side. But I just agree with the line movement. I think that this could be one-way traffic if Usman lands one takedown.
The other thing we haven't seen Usman knocked out. So hasn't happened yet. This might be his time. But if there's no knockout here, do not expect a good score at all. It's going to be a bad score. So it's going to be a low volume, but expect the knockout. But if it doesn't happen, this one will burn your lineup for sure. Let me just take a look at the salaries for these two guys. And
there are mid-range 82 versus 8K.
You got to have this fight. Tough one.
Yeah, I want a lot of it. I probably will have like 40-50% Usman, to be honest with you. And then
you're going Usman? You're favoring Usman over Tafa?
telling you, he's going to get a takedown. He's going to just maul. He's going to finish the fight on the ground. I mean, I'm not confident. I'm not going to bet that, but that's just how.
Okay.
If I'm playing a video game and I'm Usman, that's what I'm doing.
Man, somebody got to tell Usman about this.
Hopefully his brother.
Yeah, I mean his brother at this point needs to live vicariously through him with the knees, and I think Kamaru might be done. All right. Next up, Carol Rosa taking on Norma Dumont. Another mid-length fight, Big Marley. Close. Minus 105, minus 115. So effectively, pick 'em odds on this fight. Fight ends inside the distance, plus 245. Fight goes the distance, minus 312. 3 rounds of striking. Or you nod your head. So maybe there would be some grappling. Marley, tell me how it goes down.
Yeah, I think it is a close fight. It's kind of a coin flip. We got Rosa moving up in weight here, so I think that Dumont will have a little bit of a size advantage. Maybe that can help her with the wrestling. I think either one of them could have a lot of wrestling success. If they can get the fight to the ground, I feel like they can just dominate however long they keep it there, but I don't have a real edge on who that is. I have a worse taste in my mouth from Dumont being taken down by Macy Chiasson than I do with Carol Rosa being taken down by Sarah McMahon. So in my mind, I'm giving Rosa the slight edge and getting those takedowns.
Let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
Dude, Sarah McMahon's an actual wrestler.
Yeah.
And Macy Chiasson is this girl has no wrestling ability whatsoever, can't stop a takedown girl who fucking dominated her with takedowns. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Totally different.
I think Rosas can have that same success that Chiasson had, to be honest with you. But at the same time, maybe Dumont is just the better wrestler with her size. And if she could get a takedown, she could probably have a lot of success in top control too. I just don't have a strong lean on who that will be. On the feet, I slightly favor Rosa just because I think she is the higher volume striker. Both of them, I would say, kind of have power. Rosa was knocked down, though, against Lena Landsberg, which is not a good look. Like, if you're getting knocked down by Landsberg, you can get knocked down by Dumont. But we got like minus 300, fight goes to decision. So I'm not projecting a knockout from either one of them. I think that we're going to get mostly a striking match where either one of them could land a couple takedowns, or it could even be back and forth. Maybe one of them wins the first round with takedowns. Maybe the next one wins the second round with takedowns. I just don't know how this fight's going to play out with either one of them wanting to wrestle, but I just slightly favor Rosa all around. So she will be my preferred play because she's $400 cheaper. That'll put me underweight on Dumont. But if I build a Rosa lineup that has $400 remaining, I'm just going to double it up and put Dumont in there. I'm not going to make it a point to get Dumont into any lineups, but I will check to see if I have any Rosa lineups leaving $400 or more, and I'll just make that same thing just in case. Hopefully I can hit the right combination. But yeah, this one's going to be Rosa or pass for me in all formats. Both of them do have 90-plus point upside, though.
I'll tell you, it's funny because the line movement has this so close, and I think I know why. Because when you look at Dumont's record, as much as, Macy Chiasson dominated her and got a bunch of takedowns, she's got wins against wrestlers like Felicia. Aspen Ladd goes for takedowns. How did she survive Aspen Ladd? Right? Or Aspen Ladd's kind of been crap lately too, but she's just losing fights a little bit. But she's been on a bad.
She's not even in the UFC.
Yeah, she's been on a bad run. I used to think, what happened to Aspen Ladd by the Queen? That another podcast.
Missing weight. I don't think she could ever make weight. Just looked bad on the scales.
Not good anymore.
Didn't show up versus Dumont. So see ya. Yeah,
I mean, the wolf fight aside, I don't know. This is so tough because if you could beat Felicia Spencer, who is almost exclusively a wrestler, obviously she has the ability to stand back up and I don't know. But I think the thing that the X factor for me in this fight is Rosa's volume. I love her volume. Over 6 strikes per minute. She is kind of like a skilled Cachuera in certain ways. She just comes forward. She keeps throwing. Very aggressive.
And my kill shot from last week, Gomez, that's her girlfriend. So she's riding a high from that too. Maybe that'll come into play for my kill shot later.
Rosa's her girlfriend?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, nice. little celebration this past week.
Yeah,
Or maybe they wait to the end of this week and then really celebrate
exactly.
if she gets a win. I like it. I like Rosa as well. I like that side, but it's really interesting to me that the line flipped and the last few times we've seen a line flip, it has been predictive. So, the Gastelum line flip. There've been a few of these line flips recently that have been kind of predictive. So, I don't know what to make of that. But we got a line flip here. All right. I like the Rosa side as well. But I don't feel any confidence whatsoever in it. All right. Biggest favorite on the card, Montel Jackson taking on Ronnie Yaya. Monty Jackson minus 570. Yaya plus 435. Fight ends inside the distance, minus 195. So, Big Marley, Yaya, or as I like to call him, Little Damian Maya. Lil, comma, Lil, Damian Maya. Taking on Montel Jackson. How do you see this one going down?
Submission or bust for Yaya. We haven't even seen Yaya in a while, but he's 38 years old now. So I highly doubt he's going to make huge improvements on the feet or in his wrestling game. He's not going to have a wrestling edge here. He's going to be at a huge disadvantage on the feet. He's going to have to go for like a leg or an ankle, something like that, or hope that Jackson takes him down. But he has to get the fight to the ground. If it's on the ground, he's got a chance to get a submission. I just don't know that he can get the fight. He's not going to out wrestle Jackson. Jackson's a good wrestler, and he's definitely not going to outstrike Jackson. If he's failing his takedown attempts, he's probably going to be eating shots and falling to his back every single time it happens, giving Jackson knockdown over and over and over again.
They might, or they may or may not credit those.
Truth, yeah.
Depending on how well Yaya sells it, you could start getting credited.
Yeah, but I give like Jackson a monstrous striking advantage in this one. Cardio advantage as well. If Yaya fails to get the fight to the ground, I think it's a matter of time before he gives up. Give me Jackson by TKO. At the same time, Yaya, if he wins this fight, it's probably a first-round submission, 90-plus points. He will break the slate with less than 10% ownership. So I'll have a Yaya lineup as a hedge.
Let me tell you. Let me see what Yaya is by submission. Yaya,
like 650-ish.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the way to bet it, I guess. If you wanted to take a it's plus 650. Good knowledge of it. So if you wanted to kind of like 6x your money, you can just bet him by submission, because that's the only way that Yaya wins the fight, I think.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to just 6x my money. I wouldn't bet that. I would want 100K. Give me one Yaya lineup. Hopefully, if he screws all my Jackson, I don't know Jackson's 9,700 though. I would like to get Monk's numbers on 9,700.
It's not a good number. It
can't be. It's
the $9,700.
We know it's not good. Shit, I want Jackson in cash for sure. And I feel like I'll be able to afford a decent amount of Jackson on this card. So I'll probably get it 30-40+% Jackson, to be honest with you. Which is what's going to make me want at least one Yaya lineup to hedge it. Just because if he screws me over with the first round, what I hate the most are these little ankle locks from people who just only know how to do submissions. They have no other route. They're getting their asses kicked, and then they go for a Hail Mary leg lock. That shit makes me so mad because I'm always on the wrong end of it. That could definitely happen here. So I'm a little bit worried of it. That's why I want just the smallest amount of exposure to Yaya, just in case.
The same way you need to always be fearful when Damian Maya would fight, no matter who the opponent was. You just knew that, hey, if he allowed it into his grappling world, he could win this fight. You know what? For all the shit that Yaya gets, he wins a lot of fights. Like, this guy has a ton of wins throughout his career, and it's a lot of W's, man. It's a lot of W's. Like, that skill set, he's been around forever. 2007. Jeez. It's a lot of time. But he's also beaten kind of scrubby opponents. So, take it for what it's worth. But as far as that 9,700 thing, I think it depends on if we have a couple of very, very live dogs that you can default to, Like last week's card, you pay 9,700. No worries, man. You were better off not spending or using multiple underdogs last week. I don't know that that's the situation that we're gonna see again here this week. It just doesn't look like that on paper right now. But you never know.
I would agree. I think that there are multiple underdog spots though, so I know I'm going to get to a decent amount of Jackson just because I'm pretty sure he's in my single entry shell right now. So if I was able to get there with the first lineup I built, I just have a feeling I can make multiple combinations with him in there.
It's probably a Pavlovich lineup.
Maybe I don't know.
Could be. We'll see. We'll find out. Spoiler alert. We'll find out. Maybe. All right. Next up, Christos Giagos taking on Ricky Glenn. Glenn minus 165. Giagos plus 145. The fight ends inside the distance. Prop is plus 120. Not that great. Not that great. And Big Marley, you know, Ricky Glenn, it's been a bit since I've seen him. What's the story? How does this one go down?
I don't know. I don't love this one because I think it probably goes 3 rounds. I think Glenn is going to have a slight striking edge, Giagos a slight wrestling edge, and power edge as well, I think, for Giagos, at least early in the fight. But I think the longer this fight goes, the more it's going to play into Glenn's favor. And if Glenn wins, I just don't know that he's going to be able to pay off a $9K salary tag. So I would rather take some shots on Giagos. I am picking Glenn to win. I just think he's the more likely winner here. But on DraftKings at 7,200, somebody who really is best in the first round, could have wrestling success. He's not going to completely gas out. He could go out there and win a decision too. It's just that I think most of his success comes in round 1. And if he can get a finish in round 1, you know that's going to break the slate. So I'd rather take my chances on Giagos, even though I'm picking him to lose. But since I'm picking him to lose, I won't have too much Giagos exposure. It'll be more so a fight that I'm looking to get away from.
I was trying to see if there's any metrics here that like really pop off the screen about this matchup, and nothing really does. I think a lot of it is like what you said. It's a little bit's going to really come down to just Ricky Glenn, and I think he's probably going to be the better striker, and Giagos is probably going to want to get it to the ground, and I think he's got a shot of getting it there. But does he gas?
Yeah, I don't know that he gasses, but he probably slows down, which I don't think Rick Glenn will.
Yeah, I think that's a live underdog. I'm down with your assessment there, and I'm not sure I like Ricky Glenn's ability to score well, even if he wins.
Yeah, I'd probably fade Ricky Glenn at 9K. I just would rather get to all the other 9K options probably.
Yeah, there's nothing Ricky Glenn does. There's no volume. There's no real takedowns here. There's nothing he's doing that is leading to this great score, except for an early finish, which, you know, you want to count on that. That's fine, but I'm not. All right. Next up, I think Giagos is the play there. The DraftKings play anyway, the fantasy play.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Jeremiah Wells taking on Matthew Semelsberger. We got to pick 'em fight here, and I want to take a look at where the odds opened. So they opened with Wells kind of like a favorite, minus 155, and it's floated down to break even. And again, line movement has been kind of predictive lately, Big Marley. Been kind of predictive. Fight ends inside the distance. Minus 165, not the best, but not the worst on the card. So Semelsberger and Wells, how do you see it going down?
Yeah, I'm not sold on Wells, to be honest with you. I mean, he's a powerhouse. He has big time power on the feet. He's explosive. He could go out there and get a knockout in the first round, score 100 points, and burn me again. But I think he's best on the ground. It's just that I don't think he's a good wrestler. I think he's just a strong guy and can slam his opponents to get him to the ground. And I think he's a better grappler than he is a wrestler. But he's also 36 years old, all muscle. He slows down as fights move along. he's got a 5-round fight. He went 5 rounds. I'm pretty sure he even won that fight, but that was like them staring at each other for 20 minutes is what it seemed like. I wouldn't say this guy has good cardio, and I would say it's only going to get worse from here on out. He's only going, 1 round in the UFC. He hasn't been pushed in a long time. I think Semelsberger's our minute winner here. I think he could have wrestling success as well, but I think it would come more so rounds 2 and rounds 3. I think Wells might be able to get a takedown early, control the first round, or land that big shot and knock him out. But if he doesn't get the knockout in the first round or a submission in the first round, then I like Semelsberger to take over, win rounds 2 and rounds 3 on the scorecards. I just don't know that he's going to score a whole lot in the process, maybe around 10x. He's got power as well. Maybe he can get a knockout too. But I see this as, a 10x type of fight. Give me Semelsberger to win 2 rounds, though. So he's my preferred play. And I have a feeling that Wells will be more popular because he's only finishing guys early, scoring a lot of points.
Yeah, Wells putting up big numbers in his wins. This one's not super high likelihood to go to end inside the distance. So, I mean, it's going to be tough, I think, for either guy without a quick finish to score enough. Semelsberger, a little more volume. Both guys can get a takedown, although Wells' takedown entry is not that great. He seems to be a good BJJ practitioner, though. And I actually think Wells might be, is he part of Renzo Gracie? Yeah, so. Philly, Renzo Gracie, Philly. So, he's definitely, he comes from a jiu-jitsu team. Nothing special there. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't really have a strong lean here. I could see it working for both guys. Semelsberger's come through for me as an underdog a couple of times, but I think he's good. And I think Wells looked pretty good. I don't have a problem with Wells. I thought he looked pretty good in his fights, and he finishes people.
Yeah, I would say if like the Semelsberger line moved back to him at plus 130, I would take a shot at that. But I have no bet. I'm not too interested at even money. I don't want to pay any juice either.
Yeah, I think the odds are pretty correct on this one. At least that's my gut is that the odds are kind of correct here. It's hard to pick I just don't have preference. I don't. What's the DraftKings pricing? Semelsberger 7,800, 8,400.
84 for Wells.
Yeah, they don't make it easy.
Yeah, I'll more so get away from it in DraftKings.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. Like, I'm not sure we're going to see this great scoring fight if it doesn't end quickly. All right, next up, we're on the main card. And this is a weird one for the main card. And Big Marley, quite honestly, I don't understand how this fight is on the main card at all. Maybe you've got some insight, but we've got Usman Lucindo taking on Brogan Walker. Lucindo, second biggest favorite on the card at minus 345. Come back on Brogan plus 285. This fight to go the distance is a unattractive minus 215. Now, first of all, this is on the main card? That's what they chose. They were like, yeah, let's put that on the main card. Not that it matters, but kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean, I think it's probably to try and hype up Lucindo. I was really impressed with Lucindo in her UFC debut, and she lost that fight. Before that fight, that was against Yasmin Waregi, who I'm very high on. But before that fight, she was just going out there and getting a takedown and dominating every single person she fought on the ground. She's only 21 years old. Like, she's out there fighting when she was like 17 years old. Like, she was real young when she was first fighting. And I just think every single time out, she's making more and more improvements. And none more impressive than that gap from when she went to the UFC. Like, that striking that she had against Waregi, who was a very good striker. I was just super impressed with this girl. So now she's fighting Brogan Walker, who I was not impressed with, in The Ultimate Fighter or any film I saw leading up to The Ultimate Fighter. I just didn't see anything real special about her. And then she went and got dominated on the ground by Juliana Miller, who we just saw lose all 3 rounds as a huge favorite. So just an even worse taste in my mouth with that. I think that Brogan Walker probably has to keep this fight standing. And edge out a close fight to have a chance, but I see 0 edges for her. She's 13 years older. I think Lucindo can do anything she wants in this fight. So I'm all over Lucindo, mainly for cash. Like, I don't know how high she's going to score in this one, but she's my most confident pick on the card. So I like Lucindo to win on the ground with a finish at some point. But, man, I just think she's got a big skill gap anywhere this fight goes.
Good luck fitting Lucindo in there with Monty Jackson. One or the other.
Yeah, probably more so.
Can't
I would
provoke.
say I'm fine with either one of them. I would prefer Jackson if I have the extra $200, but I'm totally fine just dropping him and going to Lucindo.
So I think that is a decision that you're going to have to make on this card.
No.
You're going to be making that decision. Hey, are you going to pay up for Monty, or does Lucindo have similar scoring upside? Now, remember, this fight is massive to go to decision. The Yaya fight is not. So is this the GPP leverage play off of the Monty Jackson play, Big Marley?
It could be. I mean, but I would guess I'm thinking I only make one hand-built lineup this week. So it won't be that much of a decision. And I would rather have Jackson if the price allows it, which as of now it does because he's in there. But I'm probably going to go to dfsarmy.com. You can use promo code Sleeveless, save 10% every month. But I'll go to the domination station. I'll put in, or I'll X out the fighters I don't even want in my pool. That's where I always start. And then I'll adjust the fantasy points a little bit. And I'll say that I want 20 lineups or I want 150 lineups, whichever route I go this week. And I'll make the domination station have those hard decisions for me. If it can put them both in the lineups for me with different combinations, great. But I'd rather it take the pressure off my hands, to be honest with you, because I'm fine with both of them. I guess I'm not more confident in Lucindo than Jackson. I'm just very confident in both of them. They should get the win. And not only do they look like they should clearly win, but it's got to be a fight where the UFC definitely wants them to win also.
Yeah, I mean, they have a reason for kind of highlighting this fight, I guess. And yeah, a 21-year-old, maybe that's what it is, because she's so young that, the fact that she took an L 4 years ago when she was 17, like, all right, we just saw that Rosas Jr. kid, take a pretty big L, and no one's like, you don't want to hold it too hard against him. 18-year-old kid. That reminds me, though, don't forget to smash that like button if you guys are enjoying this breakdown, this content. We really appreciate the likes. Let us know that you're out there, that you like it. Give it a share. Tell your friends. Get on Twitter. Whatever you got to do. Let's promote the show. So hit that like button. Do us a solid if you like this type of content, or if you don't, hit a like anyway. Never hit dislike. I never would promote that. I don't see much benefit to it. Big Marley, be honest with you. Don't ever hit dislike. Only like. Subscribe. All that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Jared Gordon taking on Bobby Green. Bobby Green, minus 250. Heavy favorite. Come back on Gordon, plus 210. Fight goes to decision. Minus 225. So highly likely to go to decision here. Bobby Green, it makes sense. Big Marley, Bobby Green's only losses recently, it's like, I feel like there were a couple of bad decisions mixed in there where he won, but they didn't give him a decision. And then like Islam Makhachev, and that was it. It's been pretty good.
Yeah. He's definitely been good. And he's going to have a big striking edge in this one. He's a high volume striker. He looked like the best he's ever looked against Fiziev and Haqparast. He looked great in those fights. And then, you run into Makhachev, you get dominated. That's what's going to happen. He got finished by Drew Dober. But, man, this is his retirement fight, according to him. And retirement fights are not something I really like to target, especially when they're like minus 250. I definitely give him the striking edge. If we knew this was a 15-minute striking match, sure, go ahead and line him minus 200, minus 250, something like that. Gordon is a high pace striker, but he's not like a talented striker. He's definitely going to be at a disadvantage in this one, but he can stay on the feet long enough to start mixing in takedowns. And he is a good wrestler who can mix in takedowns for 15 minutes heavily. So I think this line is off. I think Gordon is very live in this one. I think he's live to win all 3 rounds if he does go out there and mix in wrestling each round. It's just that he has to get the fight to the ground to really show his success here, because Green is the better striker in this one. Unless he just hasn't trained, he's just taking his money for the retirement fight, which I would not plan on. I'm planning on Green being the better striker. But if he doesn't get a knockout, I don't know that he's going to pay off $9,400. So I'm going to be very low on Green, if not full fading him. I'll be on the Jared Gordon side. He's going to be pissed off coming in after they gave him a loss against Paddy Pimblett when the whole world saw him win that fight. So I think he gets it back here. Give me Gordon to win 2 or 3 rounds as a big underdog.
I smell a kill shot. I smell a kill shot coming on Jordan, but I like it. I like the breakdown, Big Marley. And tell me more about this retirement fight. Has Bobby Green actually come out and said, this is it for me? Or he's like, maybe I'm going to, like, is this just a rumor, or is this more something that is known?
So yeah, I heard it on a podcast and I said, whoa, I didn't hear about this. So I Googled Bobby Green retirement or retiring, whatever I put in. And the first few things that came up is like Bobby Green confirms that April 22nd will be his retirement fight against Jared Gordon. And I'm like, whoa, okay, that changes things. I already thought that the line was off before that, but that made me think it's even more off. So
that's dangerous, dude, because, why is he saying that? He lost his joy of training. I mean, why are you saying these things, right? Like, if you love the sport, you're 36, you're not thinking about retiring, you're thinking about training and winning. And if that's not on your head, then that's just a bad sign. That's a sign that maybe you're not giving it. I think these guys need to be 100 and give it 100%, or they're going to lose a fight. It's like a football game. Like, you can't have that. All right. Anyway, my office is going crazy. I don't know if you can hear that phone ringing, but
yeah, I was wondering what that. I was like, do I have a phone in here?
No, that's and I can't stop it from ringing. It's like a regular phone. It's not even my cell phone. It's just let it go. All right. Next up. By the way, I never answer the landline, ever.
Yeah, I don't even answer my cell phone, really.
Yeah, I never answer it.
Yeah, just text me. I'll get to it when I can get to it.
What possible person is calling me on a landline that I want to hear from? Never. All right. And even more on the business line. Hell no. Nothing good comes on that call.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, answering phones is usually just it's not a good conversation usually. It's something I don't want to hear probably. That's why they didn't want to text it. So
yeah,
I hate when my phone rings, to be honest.
Never answer that shit. All right. I just a few minutes ago, like, I answered a call and it's like this harsh voice. I'm like, click. I just don't. Whatever you're selling, bro. Or yeah, Ilya knows what's up. Yeah, like yeah, that's right. That's why I don't answer that line. Business phone. It's always someone's wife. What is this? I'm like, dude, do you have a husband? Anyway. And then she's like, I don't like him playing that shit. I'm like, you know what? Talk to your husband. Don't talk to me. All right. That's why I love the ladies of DFS Army. They're awesome. Yeah. I was like, this must be an awesome wife or girlfriend too, or whatever.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't give a shit about DFS or sports in general.
Yeah. But some of them, they like hate it, actively hate it. It's a whole other story. All right. Co-main event. Brad Tavares taking on Bruno Silva. I like this fight. Tavares minus 160. Silva plus 140. This was an interesting under 2.5 round prop, minus 125. And Big Marley, that was interesting because, like, Tavares had this history, I guess, of being a decision machine throughout his UFC career, but I assume that's just when he wins. Like, when he loses, he's been knocked out a few times.
I think he's usually going to decisions throughout his whole career. I don't think he's been knocked out too many times. I don't really understand that line, to be honest with you. This looks like a fight that should go all 3 rounds to me.
That's why I thought it would be leaning more goes to decision. Personally, I just thought it was going to be like minus 130, goes to decision, and it's not. And listen, this guy has been knocked out. Like, we forget, but he got knocked out by Edmund Shabazian who, in retrospect, not a great loss. He got knocked out by Bobby Knuckles. He got knocked out by Tim Bosch back in the day, the Barbarian, 2014, but that's going a long way back. 2014.
And I mean, technically, he was knocked out on his Ultimate Fighter season 2. He was soccer kicked in the face while he was on the ground.
In fairness,
but that didn't count on the record. But the brain will remember it.
Yeah. So was that Court McGee who did that?
No, it was Seth.
Seth Basinski. Oh, and Seth, by the way, and Seth Basinski ended up having like a horrible UFC career. Like, this guy was not good. So I don't know. Surprising. Anyway, how do you see this fight playing out from a stylistic perspective?
See, I think that, they're both strikers for sure. And I think that it's a very close striking match where I don't understand why Tavares was such a big favorite. The line is starting to close as the week moves along. I do think it's just a lot of recency bias on Bruno Silva's last fight. Like, the guy got outstruck by Gerald Meerschaert. Not a good look. But before that, he had a great fight with Alex Pereira, hung in there for all 3 rounds on the feet. He lost clearly, but so would Brad Tavares. So I don't know, I think it's a very close fight. I think that the danger side is actually on Silva. I think he's the harder striker in this one, more likely to get the knockout. So that the fact that it is leaning towards the under, that's also pointing me to his side. And then on DraftKings, 8,900 on Tavares. No thanks. I'm just going to X him out of my player pool. Probably be the first thing I do when I go into the domination station is just X out Brad Tavares at 8,900. If he doesn't get a first round knockout, he's not going to be on the optimal lineup. I just don't know how that's going to happen. He's not a high volume striker. He doesn't look to wrestle much. I would think this is a matchup where he should kind of look to wrestle a little bit, but I still don't think it would be more than, 1 or 2 takedowns throughout the fight. So give me 0 Tavares. I think this is a pick 'em fight. So Silva or pass in every single way. DraftKings, betting, whatever it is.
And again, I'm just going to reiterate what you just said, because I totally agree across the board. Bruno Silva, the volume isn't really there, but it's better than Tavares. The grappling is non-existent for these two guys. Both can stop a takedown. So what's left? Silva loses the fight against Meerschaert because he stupidly allowed himself to get submitted by a guy who could only win by submission. Not super impressed by not knocking out Meerschaert with 2 rounds of striking.
He was losing on the feet too, though. Like, he was not looking good in that fight, which is that's why the line is where it is.
That's what I'm saying. Like, anybody who doesn't suck should be knocking out Meerschaert really quickly, and when that's not happening, that's a concern. So, fadeable fight across the board for me. I don't think even that 3rd round. Silva, it's dog or pass in the sense that the only guy I'm even mildly interested in here is Silva because of his cheapness, and that's the only reason. So Silva, you're going to get him for 7,300. Fine. If he happens to get a finish in the 2nd round here, okay, 80, 90 points. But this guy ain't scoring. Like, 3rd round finish might not do it, Big Marley. Like, if he wins in the 3rd round, he's going to get it. Let's give him a knockdown. 10. We'll give him a 3rd round finish. Was that 50? 40? And then 50?
Yeah, I would expect a 10x win if Silva gets it done. Tavares, same thing. He probably 10x's Silva's score. Like, Tavares isn't going to – I don't even know if he's going to break 70 points.
I can make an argument that a 3rd round finish, 45 plus 10, 55, plus 60 strikes landed. That's like 82. Like, a 3rd round finish, he's still not getting there. Not getting you 100. So it's an unsexy play on both sides. Pretty avoidable, I would say. I'm kind of looking at a Prize Picks prop on this fight over 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that.
And I kind of like the, since I like that, might as well just, do the over 2.5 round prop plus 105. I kind of don't hate that.
Underdog actually had their, prices, whatever it is, pick them and rivals out already. Usually they don't before the podcast, but I saw it earlier and there were 2 that I did like. So I just put in a two play. They were the next fight we'll get to. Actually, I'll talk about that on the next fight we get to. But the first one was Montel Jackson under 1.5 takedowns, because I was thinking, why even put yourself in danger going to the ground with Yaya? You should just want to keep this on the feet. You don't even have to go to the ground and dominate the fight. So Jackson was my first one, and then next fight, I'll tell you my next one.
Okay, wait, let me get that one ready. Okay, I got one ready.
You might not like my next one as much.
Probably. I'll tell you why I don't like it if I don't. But going back to this fight, so Tavares Silva, avoid dog or pass on DraftKings, not touching Tavares here.
Yeah, dog or pass.
There was a bet.
Dog or pass on DraftKings.
Big Marley.
Tavares easy X out for me. If he gets first round knockout, then so be it.
Bonus points for you if you can tell me what Bee Gees song the band Tavares recorded.
I got no points for me.
No points for you?
No points for me.
All right, audience, what Bee Gees song was re-recorded for Saturday Night Fever by the band called Tavares? And I could be wrong, and they're not actually called Tavares. Like, it could be something similar to that, but it's in my head right now. I'm not going to say it.
All right, fair enough. I bet this is the only podcast you'll hear all week with that reference.
Yeah, like no one's going to reference Tavares, an awesome band from the 70s. Come on. Amazing disco. Okay. Final fight of the night. Curtis Blaydes, Sergei Pavlovich. Blaydes, minus 170 is the favorite. Sergei, plus 150. We got 5 rounds of potential domination here. Heavyweight battle. Big Marley. Everybody knows Curtis Blaydes is a grappler. Everybody knows Sergei Pavlovich. Yes. Fucking Cuban assassin. Hell yeah. Although he could have cheated with the Google machine. I don't know. But I love it.
Good work.
I love it. So Pavlovich, striker, knocking everybody out in a flurry of buckshots. How does this one go down? This is a hard one to call because I've seen Curtis Blaydes get knocked the fuck out by guys that kind of look like Sergei Pavlovich. But if he don't knock him out, I don't know. I haven't seen Sergei Pavlovich exactly looking like a Division 1A wrestler at all. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he looked like shit when he was putting us back the one time it happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's harder to call, from how this fight's going to play out than it is on DraftKings. On DraftKings, you just go all in.
All in.
I'm not going to have a fight without this in there. I mean, a lineup without this fight in there.
All in.
It's going to be... Well, so it's not a striker versus grappler matchup because Blaydes is a well-rounded fighter. He could go out there and strike here. He could even get a knockout on the feet. He could win minutes on the feet. I think Blaydes could win this fight in any way he wants to be honest with you. It's just that it's not smart of him to go out there and strike in this matchup because he has a questionable chin. Pavlovich has huge power. All he does is knock guys out in the first round. So I just think the smartest thing to do for Blaydes would be go out there and get takedowns in round 1 when Pavlovich is the freshest. And if you want to strike after round 1 if it goes there. But I just think that the longer this fight goes, the more it's going to favor Blaydes. If he wants to wrestle, he can completely dominate this fight, have the highest ceiling on the card, 160, 180 points even with the 5-round potential. So Blaydes is going to be my preferred play because he has more paths to victory. But at the same time, Pavlovich, if he wins this fight, he's going to score 110 points or whatever because it's going to be a first-round knockout, maybe a second-round knockout. And Blaydes does not always fight the smartest. He could go out there every single time and out-wrestle his opponent probably, but he doesn't. He'll go out there and strike with Derek Lewis, and then when it's too late, he wants to start wrestling. So maybe he'll do that here, and it'll lead to a Pavlovich first-round knockout. So I'll just probably be like, I'm thinking like 70% Blaydes, 30% Pavlovich, something like that. And my underdog play is Blaydes over. Blaydes gets a finish. And I believe that's minus 125, which is a 55% implied line. I'll take that extra 5%, pair it with my Montel Jackson. Okay. I put like $50 or something on that. I like to do a 5 leg play. Usually it'll be something small, like $10-$20. But I'll probably look throughout the week, see if anything else opens up. But those are the two that really stuck out to me on my first look through underdog. So give me Blaydes to get this fight to the ground. And I don't think Pavlovich can hang for 5 rounds if that's the case. So Blaydes gets a finish on the mat.
Blaydes inside the distance, -130 / -120. I will just tell you from the math of underdog, -130, I'm going to allow it. It's barely acceptable, though. Barely acceptable, because we need to skew these. We need to skew these at about -122. So it needs to be skewed in your favor to make it worth playing over there, or else just play that shit on the sports book. So
yeah, I would also take, like, if I was going to bet Blaydes, I would just rather take, that -130, because I don't think Pavlovich can hang for 5 rounds off of his back. I think it's a matter of time before Blaydes gets a TKO. So I think that it should be closer to his money line odds, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty close. So you're saving a little bit, but I totally agree. This fight is not going. Blaydes...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this fight doesn't go 5 rounds. Like, this is just not doing that.
Right.
We've seen what happens when Blaydes takes you down and puts you on your back, and he can control you. He is going to rain hellfire down upon you, like nothing you've ever seen before. So, Blaydes is not a guy where a heavyweight's going to go for. And by the way, fuck Moscow, fuck Russia, fuck Moscovites. They're the enemy. So USA right here.
That's right.
We got to root for America. We're at war with these pricks. This guy looks like a soldier driving one of those Z tanks in the Donbass region. Yeah. Fuck those guys. He looks exactly.
Maybe after he takes this L, they'll reach out to him, be like, "Hey, you want to come on the front lines?"
I want to put this guy in there with Crow Cop after the beating, though, because he'll kick Crow Cop's ass. So this is basically Ivan Drago right here. He's just knocking people out like, I am a machine. I will kill you. I hit this man and he fall down. Like, that's what he is. So fuck this guy.
People love that, though. I mean, they love when they only see people get knockouts, and they got it fresh in their mind that Blaydes has been knocked out by heavy punchers. So I just think that Pavlovich might – who's going to be the higher owned fighter in this one? I don't even know. I think it's probably close. They'll both be heavily owned, but Pavlovich will be the highest owned dog. I don't know that Blaydes will be the highest owned favorite.
But Pavlovich should rightfully be the highest owned dog. And again, Blaydes, 8,800, not that expensive. So that's what makes this an all-in. You must have one or the other side. And we've seen, listen, Blaydes has burned us enough times to know. I bet more money on Blaydes against Derek Lewis than I've ever bet on a fight before. Listen, freely admitting it. That wasn't fun to watch. That I didn't enjoy that. That wasn't pleasant to lose all that money on a guy who should absolutely win a fight, but gets fucking miracle knocked out on the most ridiculous uppercut. How do you not see that coming? Why would you go in with your head down? So will Blaydes go in with his head down against Pavlovich like he did against Lewis? Like, dude, clinch first, then no, like, don't fucking, you can't do that at heavy. Or am I missing something?
I mean, I don't know where Blaydes' head is at, but I like to judge fights based on how they should play out. Like, if I was the coach on both sides, this is how the fight would play out. And man, if I'm Blaydes in a video game, this isn't going to be close. I just got to avoid that first shot, and if I do, I'm going to dominate this guy on the ground.
This is bananas, his record, though. All right, so there's one thing in common for all of these guys. Every single win, and that's that these guys, to a person, don't go for a takedown. They have none of it. Alistair Overeem, who normally doesn't go for takedowns either, gets the win by taking him down and ground and pounding him. The path is right there. This guy's going to be worn out by round 2. He's never fought past round 1. I'm all about it. I think 100% exposure to this fight. Of course, we get the post-lock in news that, Pavlovich is feeling sick.
Yeah. You just got to risk it, though. I mean, this is the fight. Like, how does this fight not end up on the optimal lineup? The only way I could think is like Blaydes dominates the first 3 rounds. The 4th round starts. They touch gloves. Pavlovich knocks him out. Scores, 60 points, something like that. But if Blaydes wins, he's going to score a lot. Unless it's a striking match. Like, it's just not going to be a striking match for 5 rounds.
If you're Blaydes, are you dancing around with this guy for 5 rounds? A guy who clearly can't stop a takedown? No way. No way.
So
Blaydes takes him down.
Score very high if he wins, and Pavlovich likely scores 100 points if he wins too.
As a matter of fact, you're convincing me more and more. I don't like paying minus 170, but minus 130, I can stomach that.
Well,
and I think you got to fucking load up on either that. Is there a version? It's probably like minus 1,000. Like,
if the money line decision only. I don't know what that is, but it's got to be.
It's so absurd.
Like, there's no way Pavlovich wins a decision.
Yeah, it's so absurd. It's like minus like 2,000. Like,
it's got to be
bother.
Super high. Yeah,
it's such a skewed prop that you can't even get like DraftKings VIP bonus points for making a bet. They're like, we don't count those. You don't get any crowns. No crowns. You get nothing.
Yeah, they probably don't even offer it. To be honest, probably not even worth their time.
No, Blaydes and wins, dude. This guy smashes every time he wins a fight. There is no example of a Blaydes win that wasn't in the nuts lineup ever.
Yeah, there was. I was in Vegas with Brett. It was
Rosenstruik,
Omelianenchik. When he went over 17 on takedowns, and I'm all in on Blaydes. We're sitting there at the Red Rock watching this thing, and I'm just pissed off, saying like, how does this guy go from whatever he had like an unbelievable amount of points in the 2 fights before that. One, it turned into like a no contest, but he had 8 takedowns and finished him in the 1st or 2nd round. So he had like 150, 60 points. And then you go and you can't get this guy down to 1 time. So I remember that like it's burnt into my skull, that Omelianenchik. But that's not going to happen here because.
And by the way, a crap score against Rosenstruik as well. So there's another example there. Not completely horrific, but not a very good score against Rosenstruik. But like you said, this isn't going to happen. We got 5 rounds of potential scoring here, not 3. This is in the nuts, 8,800. All in on this fight. All right.
Yep.
And I'm picking Blaydes as well. I don't know if there's some way to hedge it. You can't, because I bet the odds for Pavlovich to win. By the way, let me just jump over to this real quick again. But the Pavlovich inside the distance is probably exactly the same as just Pavlovich to win. So he's plus 150 to win the fight. Yeah, Pavlovich by KO. 175. 175 instead of 150. So you're only squeezing the smallest amount. Well, this is even more ridiculous. Pavlovich by KO is the same prop as just inside the distance. It's actually worse. So, I mean, there you have it. So you're going to pay, if you want Pavlovich, the best you can do is get plus 175 inside the distance. You might as well take that. He's not winning by decision. Just take it if you want to bet him. For Blaydes, might as well just take him inside the distance too. There might be a prop.
Now that we say that this is going to be that one shit fight that just goes all 3 rounds, doesn't end up on the optimal. I mean, I'm not going to have a single lineup without it. But sometimes we think that there's no chance that this fight goes a distance, and it ends up doing it.
It could, but the 5 rounds is a big ask.
It is over 90% implied odds on it finishing inside the distance.
Yeah. Under 1.5 rounds, minus 145. Yeah. So, all right. Kill shot. Kill shot. What's a kill shot, guys? A kill shot is an underdog play that we're going to load up on DraftKings that hopefully won't be super high owned, that can help us win a tournament. Last week, Big Marley, who was your kill shot again last week? Who was it?
Denise Gomez?
Oh, so
31 points, something like that.
A sub 7K fighter that put up a 129 or a 131 or some insanely high score. That was money in the bank. All you had to do was watch this show. Smash the like, subscribe, notification bell. That's all we ask. Do it now. I'll wait. Big Marley, I don't think you should give a kill shot till we get a couple more likes. Smash that like button. We'll wait.
Hit the like. Yeah, we'll see here. Wait, guys. Let's go.
Gonna be waiting all day. All right. So let's talk kill shot, underdog play that we like for DraftKings. Big Marley, who you got?
So yeah, coming fresh off that Denise Gomes win, I thought, you know what? Let's just go right to her girlfriend and take care of Rosa. But I already said that Jared Gordon's going to be one of my favorite underdogs on the card. He's a lot cheaper, 6,800. I just think if he wins, it's going to be over 10x, and he has 90+ potential. So give me Gordon to spoil Bobby Green's retirement fight.
I like it. I like the call. You know, a lot of these are not underdogs, for example, like Semelsberger, Wells, they can't go there. Silva, even though I think he could win his fight, I don't think he's going to score enough to be in the nuts. I don't want it. So I do like Rosa, but she is now not an underdog as well, which kind of eliminates her from kill shot eligibility for me. So I'm going with Christos Giagos, plus 145. Up against Rick Glenn, because I just see that fight as one where it's dog or pass anyway. We need underdogs on this card. We don't allow the main eventer to be a kill shot. That's going to be the highest owned underdog on the card. So forget Sergei Pavlovich. So give me Christos Giagos. And like I said, I love the Gordon call. Normally I would hate it against Bobby Green because Bobby Green's the man. But the whole retiring thing's got me thrown. They just don't fight the same when they're getting ready to retire. They don't fight the same. We had that same scenario with BMF Jorge Masvidal, and I felt like he wasn't ready to fight. That he was not ready to fight. I think he came in just like, yeah, let me finish it up, get one more in. Everybody wants that last fight before they take the gloves off. Did I see somebody taking their gloves off in the ring last week? I didn't hear a retirement announcement.
6 retirement fights, I think, last week. That Ed Herman and Cummins both retired together.
Yeah, well, fucking Herman fucked me over. That wasn't the one, though. There was another one where who's the old dude who was fighting? And then
Clay Guida.
Yeah, Clay Guida took his glove. Did he retire? Did he officially retire with that fight?
Yeah. I didn't watch it, but I'm pretty positive, yeah.
I saw him just taking the gloves off, and I'm like, where's the speech? And then, I don't know, my wife called me in the room, or it didn't happen. I got distracted. I don't know if he actually retired or not.
Yeah, he did. There was multiple retirements last week. And then, the Zach Cummings one went great, but one of them has to go well if both sides of the fight are going to retire.
That fight fucked me so hard in so many ways. I can't even talk about it.
Oh, Jordan said he faked retirement to give a birthday shout out.
Oh, scumbag. All right. That's what's up. Okay. I was like, I don't remember. I thought he was going to retire, and then it didn't. I don't remember what happened. All right. So there it is. Pissed Dana White off. Okay. He's a fucking jerk.
Interesting.
Dana White should boot that fucker from the UFC at that point.
Yeah, I'll retire you then.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. I like Clay Guida. I'm not going to say
that.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it for the kill shot. We got Blaydes, Pavlovich. This is an exciting card. I'm looking forward. I kind of looking forward to watching this one. Kind of. I just want to point out one more thing. Cachuera plus 160 is very, very cheap on DraftKings, 7,100. So that is your sort of bargain play, I would say. Cachuera. Not that I'm switching my kill shot, but it's really interesting. That reminds me of the Gomes play a little bit because she's plus 160 and she's got that cheap price. Opens everything up. So
TKO potential.
Yeah, she could do it. All right, that'll do it for this one, guys. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Who's the guy? Cuban Assassin, more than a woman. Hit me up on Twitter. If you're not already a DFS Army subscriber, you got it right. I'm going to hit you with a free month of DFS Army VIP. $69.99 value, $69, 420 days a year.
You got to give me your Twitter.
At Football Geek. It's right here on screen. If you didn't see it,
there it is.
It's been on screen at Football Geek. Hit me up on Twitter. I will get you a free month of DFS Army VIP for getting that question right. And that'll do it for this one, guys. We'll see you guys next week. And for DFS Army subs, we'll see you in the Discord talking to fights. Of course, we'll change our minds about some of the shit a bunch of times between now and the fights or not. We'll see. Good luck, everybody. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards.
Good luck, guys.